This video is proudly sponsored by VR Wave because they offer a tailor-made solution to your lens inserts, and they cover a wide selection of VR headsets such as the Quest series, Pimax, PSVR 2, HTC, Pico, and soon the Pimax Super as well. Now, even if you don't wear glasses, it's important to protect your lenses, and of course if you do wear glasses, then it makes it all day comfortable. You can have blue light filter, and they also account for astigmatism, nearsighted and farsightedness. So check out my 5% discount in the notes below. So welcome back to the channel, and wow, what an interesting year it's been so far. And let's get straight into the VR headsets that I do not recommend that you buy. Let's start first of all with the Valve Index. It's had a great run. It is an amazing headset, but unfortunately at this point in time it really makes no sense of trying to get one, even if you can. I'm not quite sure if they're available brand new now, but I would not recommend buying one simply because of that resolution. It's just too low in this day and age. You'd be far better off with a Quest 3. Now, to be fair, the Valve Index in its time was probably the best all-round PCVR headset you can buy, especially as it did have a decent field of view as well. But from my tests with the Valve Index, and I've actually been borrowing one for a while, I have to admit it was a bit of a shock going back to Fresnel lenses, but overall I was very underwhelmed by the resolution, the screen door effect, not to mention the awful glare from those dual stack lenses. But to be fair, I did actually really like the build quality and the comfort, even though it was a bit heavy, I must say. The thing is, this thing needs base stations as well and Valve Index controllers. It's just a headset that, although it was fantastic at the time, I just don't recommend it anymore. The next VR headset I don't recommend, and this was even the case during my first review of the headset quite a number of years ago, and that is the Vive Pro 2. While it has a very nice resolution of about 2.5K per eye, and the LCD panel has great colours, the dual stack lens design, very much like the Valve Index, means you get lots of glare, and it's got an incredibly small sweet spot. But more than that, I find that the headset gets far too hot because of those high resolution displays in a design that actually was meant for the Vive Pro. So it doesn't have great ventilation. Now, talking of the ergonomics, we now have the Vive Focus Vision XR, which boasts the same display and unfortunately the same lenses, but it does have a lot more features such as mixed reality and eye tracking, hand tracking, in a much sleeker form factor with better ventilation. Even though this does have a native PCVR connection, you have to buy the cable separately. The headset is already over about £1,000, and with those Fresnel lenses, I'm not sure really going into 2025 that's a great solution for you guys, especially as pancake lenses and aspheric lenses is really the way to go now. So the next VR headset I don't recommend, and again this is a PC VR headset at heart, is the DPVR E4, and that goes also for the Black Edition. I personally feel these two headsets, especially the Black Edition, well, they're far too late to market and far too expensive as well, especially when you consider it has the same displays as the Quest 2 and now Quest 3S. I really don't understand why so many YouTubers are absolutely raving about this headset, and when they reached out to the channel and provided me with a free headset to review, I was very underwhelmed, particularly with the build quality. The plastics feel incredibly brittle and very cheap. I also didn't like the colours in the display, very washed out, worse than the Quest 2 for some reason, especially in my unit. And the sweet spot was incredibly small. But I think worse than all of that was basically the display quality. Even though it was a PCVR headset with a direct DisplayPort connection, I expected it to look better than the Quest 2, but it doesn't at all. And I think for the price, it really is not worth it. Please guys, just stay clear. I mean, to be fair, I did like the binocular overlap. I quite like the software setup, but there was just too many major issues with the headset for me that totally spoiled the experience. If you'd like to see my full review, I will link it in the notes below. So next on the list, funny enough, is the Quest 2. That's not because it's a rubbish headset now, not at all. It's actually a fantastic headset. especially for the price, but of course it is being discontinued. And I mean, if you've got a Quest 2 and you still enjoy it, keep using it. But as a new purchase, of course it doesn't make any sense now. And especially now the Quest 3S is out, which has the same displays but a better XR2 XR2 Gen 2 chip, which hopefully might help with the streaming capabilities. I just think at this point, there's no point getting a Quest 2 unless you can get one second hand for a very, very cheap price. But to be honest, I wouldn't even recommend that. I don't even recommend the Quest 3S. I'd rather get a Pico 4 because it has pancake lenses, and that makes a huge difference when you're looking at gauges in your cockpit. But at this point in time, the Quest 2, well, it's definitely end of life. Talking of end of life, this one hurts, folks. It is the HP Reverb G2, the very headset that started this channel off. And I was rooting for HP to maybe develop a Reverb G3 with pancake lenses and Steam VR support. That's all it really needed, even keeping everything else the same, for it to sell like hotcakes. But unfortunately, that was not the case, especially with Windows Mixed Reality being disbanded. That headset, well, at the moment, it's got a timer above its head. And if you've already upgraded to Windows 11, then be warned that you may find that your Reverb G2, especially once the new update, I can't remember what it's called, I'll put on the screen now exactly what it is. Once you get that update, well, then it will actually remove Windows Mixed Reality software from your computer. Now, again, if you've already got a Reverb G2, and I know many of my followers still use it and enjoy it, keep enjoying it, guys. It's still going to work. The only thing is, just make sure that you either downgrade to Windows 10 or stop the updates from Windows 11. The only trouble is that over time, you're going to need those security updates, and it will be a bigger problem for you in the future. So I really cannot recommend this headset, even as a second-hand purchase. Now, the next one hurts even more, and that is the Varjo Aero. I was a huge advocate for Varjo and convincing them to build a PCVR headset for all, for the consumer market back in the day when aspheric lenses were just coming onto the market. And it was a huge success for Varjo, and many of my followers still enjoy their Varjo Aeros. And that includes myself. I still love that headset. It's incredibly comfortable. It has a fantastic display, the best software in the business, really great motion reprojection, superb 35 ppd with the mini LED display, although no local dimming here. It really is a fantastic headset, but unfortunately at the end of this year, the support for the Varjo Aero will finish. Now, it's not all bad news for this headset because you can access previous older versions of the Varjo based software, so hopefully it will still continue to work in years to come. However, it's one of those things that something could break compatibility, and when that happens, you might find that you've got a very high-end headset that just does not work in your favorite sims anymore. So be warned. Now let's talk about Pimax, and at this point I only recommend maybe 3 of their VR headsets. That is the Crystal Lite, the OG Crystal if you want eye tracking on a relative budget, and of course the Crystal Super. But when it comes to their other offerings like the 5KS, the Pimax Artisan, the 8K Plus, the 5K XR, all the rest of them, I just would not recommend that you get them at this point. I think the only headset that I might still recommend, and this might surprise you, is the 8KX. I actually did a video on the 8KX not that long ago, and it still absolutely rocks in any flight sim now because of that immense field of view. And if you can get a decent deal on one, and the only route for you might be a second-hand purchase, which again, I find that quite scary. I wouldn't buy a second-hand Pimax headset anywhere. But if you do know the supplier, or if you know the person you're getting it from and you know it's been looked after and it's a decent price, then that might be an option for you if you're desperate to get a decent, I mean really good field of view headset to see you through until we know more about the 12K QLED. And the last on this list today for headsets I do not recommend buying is the PSVR 2. Now, before I go any further, a massive thank you to Gary, a subscriber to the channel, who loaned me his own PSVR 2 for quite a number of weeks, actually, a lot longer than I expected, so thank you for that, which gave me a good time to test out the headset and give it a bit of a review on the channel on my first impressions. And you know what, I was expecting it to be really good, again because of some of the hype from other YouTubers, but it's just simply not the case. You would expect a very nice high-resolution OLED screen from Sony to be excellent, but unfortunately it suffers really badly with pixel brightness inconsistencies, which develops Mura problems, and that is a very graying, fogging effect that's even worse when you want it the most in dark scenes. It really is very, very distracting. Couple that with the fact that it has Fresnel lenses, although to be fair they are quite good Fresnel lenses, you still get a very small sweet spot. And then the software itself I find very janky, and you have to make sure you've got a decent Bluetooth connection. The whole thing was very, very underwhelming to me, especially the resolution and clarity. I expected this to be around a Reverb G2 in terms of clarity, but it's nowhere near that. It's more like a Quest 2 at best, and you have to aggressively super sample the headset to get anything out of it. Now, I did like the binocular overlap, I did like the OLED colours and the comfort, but those things I've mentioned are just too much of a deal breaker. Say though, if you've got a PlayStation and you enjoy VR games and you just want to try a PSVR 2 as a sort of muckabout headset and a flight sim, then fine, sure, go ahead, because you're going to get the most out of it. But for a dedicated flight simulation headset, and that's what this video is all about, I would absolutely not recommend it at all. So I hope this video has been useful to you. Things are moving very fast right now in the VR industry. However, to reassure you, I don't think there's going to be anything to rival that of the Pimax Crystal Lite for the affordable PCVR headset enthusiast that wants that Reverb G2 replacement. I can't see anything on the horizon that I know about, perhaps other than the Big Screen Beyond version 2. But again, you need base stations for that headset, which does add to the cost. Now, for the headsets I do recommend, that's changed quite a lot for 2025, so make sure that you are subscribed to the channel for that video. That will be coming very, very soon. If I've missed a VR headset, please let me know in the comments below. Thank you so much for watching, as always. Please feel free to subscribe, and as always, I'll see you again very soon. Bye bye for now.